It was largely uneventful. It wasn't exactly a blockbuster, and Alex Pereira kind of showed up. He was a little flat-footed, he didn't execute, he didn't pull the trigger, and for the most part, allowed Magomed Ankalaev to put him on the back foot, to threat takedowns, to push him up against the fence, and outstrike one of the best strikers that the UFC's ever seen. So, can Alex Pereira come back and beat him in the rematch?
Tem que ser mais agressivo só, você entendeu? Entra lá fundão, Bruno. Tipo aquele. Foi igual a Paião, é mais difícil pra ele, vai.
Go. Let's go. Here we go. Alright, good. Bora. Levanta.
Get up.
Bora. Toma.
Magomed Ankalaev has just delivered a brutal warning message to Alex Pereira, and Powhatan has responded with what might be the most shocking social media post of his UFC career. Is the former two-division champion getting cold feet? Is he making excuses? Or is there something deeper going on behind the scenes? Stick around because this story has more twists than a John Jones career timeline. Let's start with the fireworks. Training footage recently surfaced, showing Alex Pereira drilling takedown defense with multiple partners in rapid succession. Sounds normal, right? Well, not according to the man who took his belt. Magomed Ankalaev saw this footage and absolutely destroyed Pereira on social media with this savage response. This guy brought a punch taxi driver to help him with wrestling. You don't need to worry about wrestling, I'm gonna find this big head again.
Tem que ser mais agressivo só, você entendeu? Entra lá fundão, Bruno. Tipo aquele. Foi igual a Paião, é mais difícil pra ele, vai.
Let's go. Here we go. Alright, good. Bora. Levanta.
Get up.
Bora. Toma.
Now that's some grade A trash talk. But here's why it's so devastating. Ankalaev is basically calling out Pereira for training for the wrong fight. Let's rewind to UFC 313 in March. Everyone expected Ankalaev to wrestle Pereira into the ground, right? Wrong. The Dagestani attempted takedowns early, but Pereira stuffed every single one, all 12 attempts. So how did Ankalaev win? He outboxed the former kickboxing world champion at his own game.
It was clear that his game plan, a lot of his camp was defending takedowns. He had a lot of success in that aspect. Were you surprised at how well prepared he was for your wrestling?
You know, he was considered to be the best striker in the division on the way to this fight. That's what everybody was talking about. The narrative was that he's the best. You saw what kind of best striker he was in the fight. You saw how well we did against his striking and how our striking was working. We didn't have to rely on our wrestling because we were confident in our striking. We were trying to get him to go forward the entire time. That's where we were baiting. That's where we were trying to push, and he never walked forward. You know, I knew that against the cage, he was going to be pretty good at defending takedowns because in the light heavyweight division, it's pretty hard to take somebody down against the cage. So we thought that the fight was going to be moving forward. He was going to be pressuring, and we would be able to wrestle with him in the middle of the octagon. Obviously, you saw that that wasn't the case.
Ankalaev used pressure, superior cage cutting, and smarter striking to win a unanimous decision. He beat Pereira where Pereira was supposed to be unbeatable, on the feet. And now, 6 months later, Pereira is drilling wrestling defense against what Ankalaev mockingly calls taxi drivers. The message is clear. You're preparing for a fight that isn't coming, and I'm going to beat you the same way I did before. But here's where this story takes a dramatic turn. Just as fans were debating Pereira's training approach, Powhatan dropped a bombshell on social media that has everyone asking, is Alex Pereira scared? In a cryptic message that sent shockwaves through the MMA community, Pereira wrote, I always answered the UFC's calls, but if they want to play with me, we can do that. I've never spoken poorly of the UFC, but with what I've just heard, I'm disheartened. I've already had thoughts of not fighting anymore, and after what was just relayed to me, this may be the start. Wait, what? The man who became a two-division champion in record time, who built his reputation on taking fights on short notice, who never backed down from anyone, is now talking about retirement?
There was one guy that was very, very dominant for a while, Alex Pereira. One of my guys kept hating him when Ankalaev gets his hands on, So, was I wrong?
If they fight again, and they will fight again probably in October, it's going to be worse for Alex. I think Alex is a good fighter. He's a lion. It was engineered. UFC have some of the best matchmakers in the world. Ankalaev should have been champion 2-3 years ago. Alex would never been a champion. He was a scary guy, touching people, knocking him out. But he fought a whole bunch of mediocre strikers. None of these guys was like high-level strikers. Ankalaev, he can wrestle, he can grapple, and he can strike. This is Ankalaev time. Should have been Ankalaev time. All the UFC was all sandbagging him. They know what's coming, and they was praying to lose.
This is the same Alex Pereira who fought 3 times in 7 months last year. The same guy who moved up a weight class and immediately started collecting scalps. And now he's having thoughts of not fighting anymore, right before his biggest rematch? The timing is suspicious. Ankalaev calls out his training, questions start swirling about whether he can adapt his game, and suddenly Pereira is posting about UFC disputes and potential retirement? Meanwhile, Ankalaev is walking around like he's already retained his title. The Russian champion isn't just confident, he's predicting the rematch will be easier than their first fight. I think the rematch will be much easier than the first fight because statistics always show that fighting me in a rematch is very dangerous, Ankalaev stated.
I was going to say, it sounds like a rematch. I asked Dana, and he said he's not sure, but a rematch probably makes sense, given it was close. I mean, is that the fight you want the most? And if so, how soon would you like to do it?
Я готов. Я никогда не выбирал соперников, не выбирал дату. Так что мы ждем предложение, и мы легкостью примем это предложение. Если хотят реванш, то двери открыты.
Yes, I never picked my opponent, so I'm very much happy and ready for a rematch. Whenever UFC offers it to us, if we'll see what the date is, we'll be happy to accept it.
He's pointing to his track record with guys like Johnny Walker and Ion Cutelaba, fighters who learned the hard way that facing Ankalaev twice is a nightmare scenario. But here's the most chilling part of his confidence. I'll do whatever it takes to dominate. If I need to wrestle, I'll wrestle. If I need to strike, I'll strike. I don't think we'll have problems anywhere. Ankalaev is basically saying he has all the tools, and Pereira is training for just one of them. While Poatan is drilling takedown defense, Ankalaev is probably working on the pressure boxing and cage cutting that already worked once. Even more brutal, Ankalaev wants Pereira at 100%. Let him prepare. That's fine. I actually want him to come into this fight 100% so there are no questions about the outcome.
Каким ты видишь повторный реванш, как он пройдет?
Я думаю, реванш пройдет намного легче, чем первый бой, так как статистика говорит всегда, реванши со мной выходить, это очень опасно. Я думаю, мы подтвердим то же самое, что со мной не стоит выходить на реванш.
Может быть, в этот раз вообще не стоит пытаться перевести Алекса, потому что ты, в принципе, перебивал его стойки.
Все может быть. Я буду делать все, чтобы доминировать. Если бороться, надо будет бороться, биться стойки. Я думаю, у нас не будет проблем нигде.
А ты видел отрывки тренировок Алекса Перейры, где его там борют, он встает постоянно, то есть, очевидно, он готовится к тому, что будет вставать постоянно.
Да, вполне возможно, что я не буду его переводить. Может, он это делает зря. Ну, пускай делает, готовится. Я, наоборот, хочу, чтобы он подходил к этому бою на 100% готов, чтобы у него не оставались вопросы по поводу поединка, чтобы не было таких разговоров, как в прошлом бою, что не был готов или что-то было не сделано. Я хочу, чтобы он подошел в хорошей форме и после нашего поединка, чтобы у него не было оправданий.
That's the confidence of a man who believes he's already figured out the puzzle. Here's what's really happening. Alex Pereira might be falling into the classic rematch trap. He's so focused on fixing what he thinks went wrong that he's missing what actually went wrong. Fans and analysts are pointing out the obvious. Pereira's takedown defense worked perfectly the first time. He stuffed everything Ankalaev threw at him. But those takedown attempts still served a purpose. They kept Pereira pressed against the fence, disrupted his rhythm, and gave Ankalaev opportunities to land clean shots. The problem wasn't Pereira's wrestling defense. It was his striking offense. He couldn't create the space he needed to unleash his devastating power. He couldn't cut off the cage effectively. He couldn't solve Ankalaev's pressure game. Now, Chinese contender Zhang Mingyang has added another layer to this story, suggesting Pereira has lost his hunger. He has earned too much money. He's too rich, Zhang said. If you are too rich, you are just kind of lacking motivation.
We mentioned the title fight. Magomed Ankalaev is the champion. He's running it back with Alex Pereira at UFC 320 on October 4th. I'm curious, who do you think wins that fight? What's your prediction for the title fight?
觉得我还是会选择安卡拉耶夫，因为我觉得佩雷拉好像现在没有战斗的欲望。如果说真正的佩雷拉回来了，我觉得在战力上还是佩雷拉有优势。但是如果说佩雷拉还像之前那样的话，我会选择安卡拉耶夫。
Yeah, I think still Ankalaev can defend his title because I think Pereira is not as motivated as before. So I mean, if we can get the old Pereira back, he is still the better striker than Ankalaev. But for now, if he still fought like the way like he fought last fight, I think Ankalaev can still win this fight.
Why do you think there's a lack of motivation there, in your opinion?
赚到了太多钱，就不管是哪个选手，在赚到很多钱过后，都不会有战斗的欲望，都不会喜欢这个行业。
Because he has earned too much money. He's too rich. I think it's no matter who you are, as a fighter or as a human being, if you are too rich, you are just like a kind of lack of motivation. As when you are young, when you are poor, when you are hungry. I think that's normal. It's not uncommon.
It's the same narrative that's followed Conor McGregor. Massive success leading to reduced motivation. Is Pereira suffering from the same curse? And with UFC 320 set for October 4th at T-Mobile Arena, we're about to find out if the former champion has the fire to reclaim his throne, or if Ankalaev's psychological warfare is already working. So there you have it, a champion who's preparing for the wrong fight, a cryptic retirement threat that has everyone talking, and an opponent who's more confident than ever. UFC 320 on October 4th just became must-watch television. Will Pereira's wrestling heavy camp pay off? Ankalaev proved that some puzzles can't be solved. Let us know in the comments. Is Alex Pereira scared, smart, or just making excuses? And don't forget to subscribe for more breaking MMA news and analysis. This is MMA Central, and we'll see you next time when the cage door closes.